Imagine if your child refused to go to bed until 2 in the morning. Like 6-year-old Megan, she only gets 3 hours of sleep a night.
I just feel crap all the time, to be quite honest.
3-year-old Kira is a chronic sleepwalker. Her mum and dad are up all night and survive on only a few hours rest.
I think it's like torture. It's horrible.
8-year-old Harry's sleep is spiralling out of control.
You're not going to fall asleep on me, are you?
He can fall asleep suddenly any time of day and stays awake half the night.
You don't know how serious it's going to be, if it's going to get worse, if it's going to improve, it can be treated in any way.
We are going to follow these children and their families as some of the country's leading experts help them with their extreme sleep disorders.
Parents that we see have exhausted all other avenues of help, and the majority are fairly desperate.
It's got that bad we're thinking about where our future lies with each other at the moment. You know, it could split the family up potentially.
Over 4 months, we will see them struggle to put in place radical techniques and treatments in the hope that they can get their lives back together again.
I never ever thought in 100 years it would be like the way it is now, where, you know, we have a child who just doesn't sleep.
The Hewitts haven't had a good night's sleep in 3 years. Whilst their son William has no problems going to bed, their 6-year-old daughter Megan refuses to sleep for more than 3 hours a night.
Did your sister go to bed?
No.
The problems began suddenly 3 years ago. Megan has seen countless health workers and doctors, but so far nothing has worked.
They basically ruled out ADHD, they ruled out Asperger's, and basically said Megan was fine, and I had to be more strict in getting her into bed, and they basically told me to sit outside her room until she fell asleep on her own. But the thing is, I've been sat outside her room now for 3 months.
I don't like going to bed because you have to close your eyes, and it's really boring.
Bye.
See you later.
Be good.
Mike works nights, so it's Rachel's job to put the kids to bed.
Bye-bye.
I just dread every single night because I know it's not going to be a peaceful night. I know I'm going to be up and down the stairs like a yo-yo.
Yeah.
You're not coming downstairs, no?
No.
Promise me? See you in the morning then, yeah?
Good morning.
William is fast asleep, but no sooner does Mum go downstairs than Megan's nighttime antics begin.
Mummy, I'm going to go to the toilet.
There's a toilet upstairs. No, Meg, no, Meg, no. Get you into
As the night wears on, the more exhausted Rachel gets, the more she gives in to Megan.
I'll give you half a slice. Just get into bed. Yeah, get into bed then. Don't wake one up. Get into bed? No. Michael, he always says to me, it's not your fault, but I'm the parent. I should be able to get my child into bed, you know, into a proper routine at night. I should be able to do that myself. And it makes me feel almost useless. It gets to the point where I'll just sit downstairs absolutely exhausted, and that's when I'll start to cry. You know, and I cry because I'm just so tired and fed up with the way every day is, and I'm desperately trying to change it, but I can't. You just go to sleep now. And I'm going, come on, please, just go to sleep.
In the early hours, Mike returns from work. To the usual welcome.
Why are you asleep? It's 1:30 in the morning. It's bedtime.
Later.
So you're going to put you to bed then?
Night-night, Mummy.
After suffering Megan's exhausting sleep problems for over 3 years, the Hewitts are at breaking point.
It feels like I just can't see clearly at the moment as to where we're going with Megan, and I think I just need to have like an insight as to which direction I'm going to be going and what sort of goal I should be aiming towards now. Megan, are you in bed?
Not getting regular, normal sleep in childhood can have severe consequences. It's a problem Dr. Cathy Hill, one of the country's leading child sleep specialists, knows only too well.
Sleep is as important to a child as healthy food. If a child doesn't sleep, we know it affects their learning, it affects their ability to concentrate in school. It can affect their growth if the problem is severe enough, and it can also affect their mood.
Dr. Hill runs the Southampton Sleep Clinic. The centre specialises in diagnosing and treating children who have extreme sleep disorders. Where other doctors have failed, Cathy and her team work to give families their sleep and sanity back.
We know that exhausted parents struggle with day-to-day living. Sometimes we find that parents have to give up a job. Sometimes it creates difficulties in the relationship. Around 30% of mothers in our clinic have depressed mood, for example. So when children have sleep problems, this has a huge impact on the family.
Many of the children Cathy sees have behavioural sleep issues, but sometimes there is an underlying medical problem.
That's a good lad. Put yourself on.
One of the children on Dr. Hill's waiting list is 8-year-old Harry. He was a happy, active boy, but just under a year ago, he started randomly falling asleep.
You're not going to fall asleep on me, are you? Harry? Whoa! Just try and stay awake a little bit, darling, please.
He can fall asleep up to 5 times a day for up to 2 hours at a time. His schoolwork is suffering, and for Mum Tracy, it's having an ever-increasing impact on his life.
That's really why we don't take him out riding very often now, because it's just high risk, really.
It's kind of annoying because you have to, like, know where to lay down or something.
As well as falling asleep during the day, Harry's nighttime sleep is severely disturbed. He can wake many times and head straight for the biscuit tin.
No, you stupid dog.
He's gained weight and has also been hearing noises in the night. Then, when he is asleep, he seems fitful and restless. Harry's seen a number of doctors who think he might have narcolepsy, a chemical imbalance in the brain that causes sufferers to fall asleep uncontrollably. But so far, there's been no definitive diagnosis.
Has Mum and Dad talked to you about what it is?
Yeah, I have a bit, but they don't know what it could be.
What do they think it might be?
They don't know. They think they might be narcolepsy or epilepsy. No, they don't think it is, either of them.
Mum Tracy and Dad Nick have been struggling with Harry's symptoms for over 9 months.
We're very, very concerned as to what is really going on with him, and we just want him to find out what it is, really, don't we?
Yeah, I think for me one of the worst things is just the uncertainty of it all.
That was my go.
It's estimated that 1 in 3 children in the UK have sleep problems, and when a child doesn't sleep, the whole family can suffer. For the last 3 years, Rachel has been surviving on very little sleep. Her 6-year-old daughter Megan refuses to go to bed for more than 3 hours a night. But Rachel has been keeping a sleep diary and sending it to Mandy Gurney, a private sleep therapist. The diary tells the story of Megan's constant refusal to go to bed and how anxious this is making Rachel.
It's probably one of the worst sleep cases that I've seen for a very long time. I really don't know how she's functioning on a daily basis going to school with such a small amount of sleep. Hi, I'm Mandy. Hi, you Rachel. Hi,
Hi,
Michael. Hi, nice to meet you.
After analysing the diaries, Mandy thinks she knows what Megan's problem might be.
there's a lot of anxiety about bedtime and sleep at the moment, not only from you but from her as well. There's actually no point putting a child to bed if they're not tired.
No.
Because they're not going to go to sleep.
And she's come up with a radical solution.
What I want to do is to not put her to bed. Now, you're going to be very shocked when I say this. I want to start working in line with her natural body clock. I don't want you to put her to bed till midnight. Okay?
Right, okay. Yeah. I'm sure she'll like that.
Yes, well, exactly.
So at the bath at 11:15?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Feels a bit weird, but I'm sure,
exactly.
you know,
That'd be different, okay.
Like I said, I'm willing to try anything.
I'm sure she won't mind that.
Yeah, this will take away that anxiety and that sort of boiling point that everything is erupting, you know, and for the last 3 years you've had this awful kind of anxiety and stress around going to bed. Once she's learnt to fall asleep within 15 or 20 minutes, then we can start moving her body clock a bit earlier. Okay, bye then. Nice.
Mandy hopes her 6-week programme will eventually get Megan to sleep by 9:30.
I do feel really excited. Probably the most excited for a long time, to be quite honest. I'm actually looking quite forward to tonight, just to put, you know, the programme into practice, really.
As part of the new sleep regime, Mandy has told Rachel to start a reward system. If Megan sleeps through the night, she'll get a special treat from the sleep fairy. Rachel's reward could be her first good night's sleep in 3 years. Over at the Southampton Sleep Clinic, NHS consultant Dr. Kathy Hill heads a team of experts treating children with extreme sleep disorders. She believes it's important to diagnose problems early.
Whereas it's well understood that sleep problems affect children immediately, what we're also learning is that sleep problems at a critical age, probably under the age of 3, may have a long-term knock-on effect for the child, specifically around their learning.
One of Kathy's newest referrals is 3-year-old Kira and her mum Laura. Laura and her family have recently moved into a new home with its own pool and gym. Her 1-year-old son Finley sleeps well, but Kira is turning their dream lifestyle into a nightmare. 6 months ago, she started repeatedly sleepwalking.
Her eyes are open, but you can just tell she's not there, like her eyes are glazed over, and it really takes you aback.
The majority of the time she just sort of sleepwalks into our room.
Just stares at us,
yeah, stands
from the
there,
side of the bed.
you know, and then you were taken aback by her standing there when you sort of come round and that.
The scariest one was when a couple of times I found her down here, because obviously she's actually woken up when she's got down here because she's absolutely screaming, because it's like 3 a.m, pitch black in here, and she's woken up thinking, how have I got here?
Sleepwalking is not Kira's only problem. She can also take 3 hours to get to bed and can then wake up to 10 times a night.
I do find it quite stressful because all the excuses start coming out now, like I want a cuddle. I deal with it and Ian goes downstairs because he gets too stressed otherwise. So...
Kira's parents get very little sleep. Ian then works up to 15 hours a day as a gas engineer, and things aren't any better for Laura.
Oh no! Maggots in your pizza.
Maggots in my pizza.
We can't cope without sleep. It's getting to a point where we can't function. I certainly can't, Ian can't. You know, it could split the family up potentially, because it's a horrible, horrible thing, sleep deprivation, because I think it's like torture. It's horrible. Sometimes I'll be emptying the dishwasher, crying and thinking, why am I crying about emptying the dishwasher? And then realising, thinking, oh, I only had 3 hours sleep. You know, and not even in one go.
Yeah.
Slugs.
With Kira's sleep problems taking their toll on family life, Laura's GP has referred Kira to the sleep clinic at Southampton.
I think that my biggest worry at the moment now is being criticised, and because we do try our best for her. And I'm just worried that we're going to get told that we're doing something wrong. Sorry.
Sleep problems in children can take many different forms and can be difficult to diagnose. 8-year-old Harry recently started randomly falling asleep throughout the day. Doctors have said it might be narcolepsy, a condition where the brain doesn't produce enough of one of the chemicals that regulate sleep. But narcolepsy is extremely rare in young children, and Tracy and Nick are still waiting for a firm diagnosis.
All right, Harry. Don't be getting too hot. It's particularly worrying when you realise there's something wrong with your child, but you don't know what it is, and you don't know how serious it's going to be, if it's going to get worse, if it's going to improve, it can be treated in any way.
When Harry's sleep problems began, he also developed another strange disorder. He started collapsing when he laughs.
This is some footage that we took when we first realised that Harry was having difficulties, and we really took this with the objective of taking it into the hospital so we could show the consultants. He loses control of his muscles. You'll see his head lolling around and his eyes starting to close. He's not unhappy, he's laughing and giggling. It's almost like he's drunk. He's starting to get frustrated now. So he'll try and stand up. And you can see he hasn't got great control over any of his muscles, really. And then eventually you'll see he'll fall over, and of course he bangs his head, and then he gets very distressed.
Doctors have said it's a condition called cataplexy.
You all right, Harry?
Come on.
It's heartbreaking, this sort of thing. You feel desperately sad for him. Desperately sad for him.
Come on.
When he wakes up, he'll be totally unreasonable. He'll be ravenously hungry, craving sweet things in particular. And that will go on for 5, 10, 15 minutes, and then it will suddenly stop.
Hey. All right, sweetheart. Me. When he has these episodes, which he has them every day, you just feel like going and crying, because it's just so draining, really.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Oh, I nearly landed on the snake.
Recently, Harry has started to wonder what's causing his illness.
How do problems like this start off? Does it come from like rats and bugs? The thing is how it evolves, really. Maybe something gets mixed together and then it goes up into the air and someone breathes it in. 6.
Harry has an appointment with Dr. Kathy Hill in 2 days' time.
When we see families for a consultation, they are often fairly desperate. Very often they've lost confidence in themselves in terms of managing the child. Fundamentally, they're exhausted.
We're going to look at the pictures of your room now.
Today, Kathy is seeing Laura and her daughter Kira in the hope that they can find a cure for Kira's sleepwalking.
It's amazing how coordinated children can be, though, when they're sleepwalking, what they can actually get up to. It's a little well-trodden path, this, isn't it, across your landing? What happens with sleepwalking is that as the brain comes out of deep sleep up into lighter sleep or waking, it gets stuck in a funny little short circuit. The brain is actually asleep, so children have no memory of it. But they can do things with their body that you would normally do in wake, like walk around or shout or, express fear and these sorts of things. So it's a funny kind of in-between halfway house sleep state. The most powerful trigger for sleepwalking is a tired child. So we really need to focus today on the nature of Kira's sleep, how well she sleeps at night. Difficulty settling, for example. Kira's crying. Oh no, you're getting out of bed?
I didn't want to go to bed.
Oh, well, bed's very nice though, isn't it? Is Mummy happy? No.
Kira, into bed.
Reviewing the footage, Kathy notices something. Whilst early in the evening Laura is firm with Kira, it's not long before she gives in.
When you come up the stairs, though, you're fantastic about, you're actually quite sort of stern with her, quite clear.
Yeah.
But my guess is, because you're feeling upset now even watching it, aren't you? My guess is that you
can't keep it up.
She's not needing that,
No,
is she?
no.
That's something you're needing to do.
Yeah.
You see, my worry is at the moment that she's going to bed feeling quite confused. She's not quite sure what she's supposed to be doing and what you're wanting of her.
Shall I go again?
Are you going again?
Yeah.
Oh dear.
Before she decides on treatment, Dr. Hill wants to find out why Laura's being inconsistent with her daughter.
Can you tell me a little bit more about the early days with Kira?
Like I had postnatal depression with her anyway, so I was left a lot on my own with her, and being a first-time mum, it was a real big shock.
Do you ever think about that and wonder whether it's affected how you feel about your relationship with Kira now?
Definitely, I feel quite guilty about it actually.
I thought you might say that.
Yeah, sometimes I could really have, I don't know what the word is, I could have just shaken her sometimes, and I still feel guilty about that now.
I think it's very brave of you to be honest and acknowledge the fact that you feel guilty. Because in a sense, recognising that is almost the first step, isn't it?
Yeah.
To saying, well, maybe a little bit of that is making it difficult for me.
Not really.
I think there's a good chance, if we can get her to settle to sleep independently and resettle herself when she wakes at night, there's a good chance the sleepwalking will improve as well. Once one thing starts to go the right way, the other things tend to follow. What Laura's going to have to do is to be really much clearer and much tougher. At the moment, Laura was completely honest and recognises she hasn't got the capacity to do it on her own. So we've asked her to go away and look for where she can get the support.
Laura has decided to ask partner Ian for more help in dealing with Kira.
It's going to be mainly me doing these changes, but they don't think that I'm strong enough to do that at the moment. I need some support, but emotional support as well. I know it's difficult, like if you're late home from work or whatever, but a phone call at bedtime just to say, how did you get on with her, or what do you think about that?
I don't know, really.
What do you think you could?
Well, I think I do give you support. If you ring me up and say, what time are you going to be home, I always ask how Kira's gone to bed. I always ask how she's been.
Yeah, I'm not saying you don't. I'm just saying a little bit more would be appreciated.
Laura and Ian have recently been experiencing difficulties in their relationship, and Kira's sleep problems are forcing them to face their differences.
I'm not the touchy-feely sort of person all the time who wants to walk down the street holding hands and sort of have their arm around each other all the time. That's not me. But maybe I just need to start understanding a little bit more how Laura's feeling, and when she tells me she's down, I need to maybe sort of go into it a little bit more. I'm willing to give anything a go that's going to help, that's going to help.
That's it, you get in there.
Harry is on his way to his first consultation with Kathy Hill.
We're off to the hospital, aren't we? We're seeing Dr. Hill. She's a new doctor who we haven't seen before.
Since Harry started randomly falling asleep during the day, Tracy thinks she's seen a change in his personality.
He doesn't talk to us as much as he used to. He shuts himself away, almost as if he's trying to deal with this on his own. Maybe he doesn't realise what's going on, but we feel very sad that we've lost part of Harry, the most special part of Harry that we ever had.
At the Southampton Sleep Clinic, 8-year-old Harry and his mum Tracy have come for their appointment with sleep specialist Dr. Kathy Hill. Harry has suspected narcolepsy. He's been finding it difficult to control when and where he falls asleep, and it's beginning to dominate his life.
Kind of feels like left out of stuff because there's a lot of stuff that I can't really do anymore.
Can we just wind back a bit in time, Harry, to when your mum said you started to be frightened of going into your bedroom?
Another symptom Harry has been experiencing is hearing unexplainable noises in the night.
There are quite a lot of children who do sometimes hear scary things or see scary things, and they seem really, really real.
What? So it's like your brain's projecting them onto a wall or something? And is it the same when you hear stuff?
Yes. But I suppose what I wanted you to understand is that if you're hearing the growling, I don't want you to think you're going mad or it's silly.
Yeah.
It's better just to tell your mum and dad about it, because sometimes this can happen in the narcolepsy problem.
Tracy's brought along some footage of the strange cataplectic symptoms Harry has when he laughs.
And you can see, you know, his head, he's losing his muscle control in his neck. He can't actually stand up. Come on, Mr. Floppity-Dops.
To cut to the quick, I think, and I think you know as well, that there's a very, very high chance this is narcolepsy.
Yeah.
And the reason that I'm saying it's very likely to be narcolepsy is the daytime sleepiness, the cataplexy particularly, and it's the cataplexy that really tends to be the clincher, because it is such a distinctive, extraordinary thing.
Thank you very much, and we'll speak to you soon. Bye-bye then. Bye-bye.
What's classically described in narcolepsy is an irresistible urge to sleep. At the moment, there is no absolute definitive cure for narcolepsy. The principal line of treatment at the moment is around symptom management.
Managing Harry's symptoms means stimulating his brain to stop him napping. One of the main treatments is Ritalin, a drug used to treat hyperactivity. It can have many side effects, including severe anxiety. Once on medication, Harry would have to take it for the rest of his life.
It's very upsetting. It's very strong medication. He's only a young little lad, and you really worry about what effect it's going to have on him in the rest of his life, what long-term effect it's going to have, and so on.
With the stakes this high, Kathy must be sure of her diagnosis before she can prescribe treatment. She wants Harry to return for a major sleep study to find out once and for all why he is persistently falling asleep.
We need to go an extra step and do an overnight sleep study to see whether he is slipping into dream sleep inappropriately, which is what we're looking for in this condition.
It's time to go up and start getting ready for bed.
Kira's chronic sleepwalking has been putting a strain on Laura and Ian's relationship.
I don't want to go.
I'm afraid, darling, it's time for bed, so you have to.
But tonight is the first night of a new regime. Laura has been told that, like most children who sleepwalk, Kira is overtired.
Who's going to read your book, Mummy or Daddy?
You don't want a book. We'll lay down.
And if they can settle her by being more firm and consistent, she should sleep better and stop sleepwalking.
Right, no, if you don't want a book, we're going.
A book or nothing. Do you want a book? Do you want a book?
That's enough. No more negotiating. It's very hard for me just to say no, because, you know, we've been giving in to her for 3 years now, so very hard. But we've got to. Do you want to go or shall I go?
What?
Put her back to bed.
She's not in bed?
Just remember, just put her into bed. Don't cuddle her or anything, Ian. putting her back into bed and not cuddling her and that, it's horrible.
Over at Megan's house, there's also a new sleep regime about to start. Megan refuses to stay in bed and only sleeps for 3 hours a night. But now, to take the anxiety out of bedtime, Rachel's been told to put Megan to bed at midnight instead of her usual 7:30. If Megan stays there, she'll get a present from the sleep fairy.
What sort of things would you like to get?
Some hairbands, some sweeties.
What do you have to do to get all that you want?
Go straight to sleep.
Yeah, that's it.
And then I'll get my present in the morning.
Yeah.
Where should I put these?
We put them into a pile. Yeah, but we
I
can't.
can read that in the daytime.
Yeah, but you're not reading it during the night now, are you?
One of the things Megan does instead of sleeping at night is play with her toys, so Rachel has been told to clear her bedroom of any distractions. So far, it's all good fun for Megan.
Not very many toys near now, is there?
They've also been told to lower the light in the room,
So this is what your room's going to be like now, Meg?
something Megan seems to be less in favour of.
Megan?
Not very happy.
I think it's much better now, don't you?
I do, yeah.
No!
Sorry, but that's how it is now.
No!
Usually, Megan is up and down the stairs as Rachel tries to keep her in bed. But tonight, there's a new challenge. There's 4.5 hours until Megan's bedtime.
How long have we got until she goes to bed?
I haven't had a bath yet.
I know, it's not time for bath yet.
You've got ages yet for your bath.
I think it's going to be really tough, I think. Just getting to 11:15 and sort of entertaining her up until then. Are you feeling tired, Megan?
You do look tired.
You tired, Megan?
Yeah.
When 11:30 finally rolls around, as part of the new rules, Megan has a quick 5-minute bath.
Yeah, well, come on, Kim. We haven't got long.
And then it's straight to bed.
We'll see you in the morning.
Yeah.
All right, night night.
Good night.
Sleepy time now. The bedtime routine that I've just done was much more relaxed than what it usually is. And I feel a lot calmer. And I think Megan's a lot calmer as well.
Are you itching to go up and have a look?
I am, yes. I'm dying to. Just go up there and have a look.
After just 10 minutes, Megan has gone to sleep. It's the first time in 3 years she's gone to bed without a fight. And the sleep fairy hasn't forgotten her side of the bargain.
Well done. Good girl.
For the last week, Laura has tried being firm and consistent with Kira at bedtime and has started to make progress.
Hey,
I don't want the light off.
you have to have the light off. It's bedtime. Good night.
Does that light
I will leave the bathroom light on, okay? Good night.
But although Kira is settling down better, she is still waking in the night. And crucially, still sleepwalking. Laura and Ian are still suffering from chronic sleep deprivation. Ian is now sleeping in the spare room, and their relationship is being stretched to breaking point.
Things have definitely got worse between me and Ian since we saw Kathy. It's got that bad we're actually thinking about where our future lies with each other at the moment, so that's how bad it has got at the moment.
Part of Kathy Hill's advice to Laura was to get more support from Ian. Today, she's on her way to see her.
From what I understand, there are some quite significant difficulties at the moment which we'll have to talk about, because obviously it does make it much more of a challenge for Laura to deal with Kira's problems if she's having to do that unsupported.
Come on, Philip.
How much is it affecting Ian, do you think, the waking?
A lot, yeah.
As much?
Yeah, all last week he wasn't home before like 10 at night after leaving at 5:30. Plus then this as well, you know.
Do you think you've got the resources given the current situation?
It's going to be difficult, obviously more difficult at the moment, but I definitely want to get it sorted because I've a view that if we can get this sorted, maybe other things
will fall into place.
Yeah, might get sorted
Yeah.
as well, you know.
No matter how exhausted you're feeling and how many times you've done it in the night, actually going back, very straight face. Try just to sort of be in a slight zombie mode. Clear messages, Kira, it's night time, back to bed. Physically take her back, tuck her in, kiss her goodnight, and turn around and walk away.
I shall try that one.
You've done brilliantly.
Thank you.
You've done brilliantly.
Megan is in week 3 of a 6-week sleep programme. After initial successes, which saw her getting 7 hours of sleep a night instead of her usual 3, things have taken a turn for the worse, and Rachel is beginning to lose hope.
Seems as though we've taken one giant step back. Can you go to sleep quietly? Without a fuss, don't forget to sleep early.
Having managed to reach a bedtime of 10:30, Megan started refusing to stay in bed again.
Mom!
No, come on, please. Obviously, she's not been getting things in her box each day. And what she's been doing is she's been coming down in the morning, looking in her box, and if there's nothing in her box, she's just been chucking it across the room, and it's become somewhat battered.
Rachel has been in contact with sleep expert Mandy Gurney, and she's told her to try a new technique. When Megan complains at bedtime or cries during the night, they must close her bedroom door and only open it if she calms down. With Mike's help, it seems to be working.
Calm down. All right. Go to sleep, please.
Harry's going for his sleep test to see if he has narcolepsy, the condition which causes sufferers to fall asleep uncontrollably.
You're ready for tonight? Got all your stuff? It is important to try and detect it and start treatment early in this condition, not least because for the child it can be very disabling. Quite often, in order to stay awake, they have to become quite hyperactive. Children can become grumpy or aggressive. So the earlier the diagnosis can be made, the better for the child.
Here we go.
Harry's sleep will be monitored overnight. The sensors will tell Kathy about how deeply and how well Harry is sleeping. It's an expensive study, and Kathy can only use it in her most extreme cases.
You know when you have dream sleep?
Yeah.
Can you remember what sort of sleep that's called? It's got a special name.
REM.
Exactly. So what we do with that is we look to see whether your muscles go floppy, and that helps us to know when you're going into your dream sleep.
Normal sleepers do not go into dream or REM sleep until at least an hour and a half into their night. Narcoleptics can start dreaming the moment they drop off, and it's not long before Kathy spots something on Harry's readout.
There was just a couple of pages of the screen when he had some quite characteristic eye movements, which we would normally say were REM. And we're trying to decide whether that might have actually genuinely been REM sleep. But obviously, if he did have REM that very early in the night, 6 minutes after his first sleep onset, that would be significant.
But Kathy will have to wait till morning for a definitive diagnosis.
Well done, Harry. That's the last one.
For the last 18 hours, Harry has been undergoing a sleep study to find out why he is unable to control when he falls asleep.
He's more worried about the bed, isn't he?
Yeah.
Sleep specialist Dr. Kathy Hill has been testing him for narcolepsy. For 10 months, Tracy and Nick have been struggling with Harry's symptoms, and they can now get the definitive diagnosis they've been looking for.
Right, so last night.
Yes.
Lovely study. In a way, it's very positive because it does absolutely confirm the diagnosis of narcolepsy.
It's not a great surprise, put it that way.
No. Where we go from here is to talk about what next. The best tried treatment around the daytime sleepiness are stimulants. So they're drugs that act directly on the chemical pathways within the brain. My personal preference would probably be the Ritalin. The reason for that is that it's been used very widely and very extensively in children of Harry's age and younger.
In a situation like this, you do feel mixed emotions because on one hand, it's nice to get a positive diagnosis and you know exactly what it is. But on the other hand, you know, the ongoing consequences in terms of his treatment, his future, then obviously that is a concern.
I think when we tell him, he'll be pleased. He keeps asking his dad, you know, what about this, what about that? And I think, you know, deep down, he is really worried that there is something quite seriously wrong with him.
Yes. You definitely have narcolepsy. So that's quite helpful, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now we're really sure, it helps us know what to do next to help you, doesn't it?
Thank you.
My pleasure. My pleasure.
It's nice to know, isn't it?
How do you feel about it all then, Harry?
Yeah, really happy.
See you later.
Tracy and Nick have agreed to start Harry on a course of Ritalin.
Well, I feel quite strongly that Harry should start treatment soon. He's had 2 school terms now of being really quite disabled by this, and I think it's starting to have an impact on his education. I know Mum said he'd been removed from a class because of behavioural issues, which were put down to the fact he was tired and having to sort of maintain a level of arousal and agitation in order to stay awake, and I think we need to address that fairly soon, really, for his benefit.
It all comes back to the fact that if it's going to help Harry, if the net result is it is going to help him, then obviously it's something that we'll welcome.
Over at Laura's house, it's been 5 weeks since Kira first saw Kathy Hill with a sleepwalking problem. Since then, Laura's sorted out Kira's difficult settling period by being consistently firm at bedtimes, and it's finally had the knock-on effect of stopping her sleepwalking.
I can't believe it. I honestly can't believe it. I really didn't hold out much hope, and it's just been so easy. Come on then.
Now that Kira is sleeping through the night, so are the rest of the family, and it's given Laura and Ian a fresh perspective on their relationship.
In my mind, this was the big turning point for us. We either went one way or the other, one way being that was it, or the other way we make things better, and that's what we've decided to do.
We both sat down and said, look, we've hopefully sorted Kira out now, so it's about time that we talked about things. We've made an effort with Kira, so now it's time for us to make an effort with each other.
Don't wind him up, Kira. We can all play, can't we? Who's going first? Go then.
Over in Kent, Rachel and Mike have persevered with Megan's sleep regime. They've managed to take the anxiety out of bedtime, and in 6 weeks, Megan has gone from just 3 hours of sleep a night to 10.5.
It needs to be bad, and I was a bit grumpy and shouting and sad.
And what's it like now?
I feel happy when I go to bed every night and straight to sleep.
A lot of people have said how much she has changed. Her attitude has changed, she's more calm. It's made her so much more cheerful, as you can see, and tell her to go to bed, and she just literally goes and gets herself into bed and she'll be asleep in about 10, 15 minutes.
So, Will, does your sister go to bed?
Yeah.
So you seem a lot happier, guys.
Yeah, we are. Yeah.
Yeah, it's made a lot of difference.
It's a difference of being able to sleep at night. You know, getting your full night's 8 hours sleep a night. It's great, and I've forgotten how good it felt. You know, just to go to bed and just go to sleep like normal people. You know.
Harry's now been taking the stimulant drug Ritalin for 10 days. He's also been told to have a scheduled half-hour nap at school. But he's still having cataplectic episodes, and his nighttime sleeping is still disturbed. But during the day, the treatment has allowed him to start doing the things he enjoys.
I can do more stuff like riding more often, to the park more and go out on my bike and stuff. That's a lot better because it makes me feel a lot happier. Okay.
You always cling to some vague hope that at some point there might be a proper cure for it. You have to hope for that, but I think you have to plan for there never being a cure. So we hope he will build it into his life and he'll learn to cope with it over a period of time.
Tracy believes Harry is already coming to terms with his condition and is gradually returning to his old self.
You see him on the pony and his eyes look brighter, he's more aware, he's more alert, he's more interested, whereas before he would be bored. Generally, he has conversations with us now, doesn't he?
Yeah.
He'll sit round the table and have a conversation.
Come back into the family, if you like.
There's no better feeling for me than helping a child with a sleep problem. If we can achieve a good night's sleep for that child, that has a huge impact, not only for the child, but for the whole family. The child is happier, the child does better in school, very often their friendships improve, parents are happier, relationships in the family improve. For me, there's no more satisfying feeling.